So I had the strategy of doing a Deering reading strategy for science. And so I chose one called Passage Master or Linguistic Roulette. And those two can be paired with a T-chart. And so I'm kind of going to merge the two. I found all of these on Read, Write, Think, and they just paired so well together I thought I would merge them for this. The steps for this is you would read a chapter of the book to your class. So in this case, science, say you were doing cells. So this was about cell walls or something like that. And then after you read it, they would pair up with a partner, and then them and their partner would collaborate and reread through the passage and kind of just go over what it was about. And while they were doing that, they would use their T-chart, which would look something like this. And so on this side here, they would cite the page number and then give a quote on what was literally in the book. And then on this side, some annotation on what they thought about what they had read. And then after they do that, they would then come up with a question that they thought was either puzzling or interesting or something important, or maybe something they just needed to go over. And they would write that on a little slip of paper, so I had it on the bottom here. And then they would rip that off and share it with the class, and they'd be able to pass these around. You could do many different things with the slips of paper. But it would show what they had learned, and then if they had any struggles, what they needed help with, and would give you an opportunity to assist them with that and just go over what you had read, especially in science where there's new ideas brought up all the time, and especially with new vocabulary that's so difficult. So after sharing with class, the groups could either help out that group on what their thoughts were. They could comment on it. You could make a short essay to do on this, or it could also be a good indicator, just an assessment saying, hey, we need to go over this. And so maybe tomorrow's lesson needs to review what we had read this day. So the strengths of this, I kind of been going over them, but the strengths are, first of all, it gives the teacher 10 to 15 minutes of not having to teach directly, and it engages the students because they get to have a partner and a friend that they work with. It also allows them to just read together and read and discover these new ideas together. And so it shows them how to use a textbook without the teacher always being there to guide them. It also frees up the teacher to assist specific groups that need help. So if you paired your groups strategically and you had a lower group together, you could give more of your time and resources to those students. And also on the flip side of that, if you had a student with two GT kids, or a pair with two GT students, you could challenge them to do above and beyond, and they would also challenge each other. So you're also allowing the strengths of the students and the weaknesses of the students to be used in a more efficient manner to teach the subject. An example I've kind of gone through, so they would do the T-chart, and then they would rip it off, and then they could, for example, maybe pass it to the group to the right, and then the group on the right would write comments on it, or if they could help with a question, they could write questions and then pass it back. Or you could make this a gallery walk where you put it on the wall, and each of the pairs would go to those different stations and write about what they thought, comments, questions, things like that. And my rationale for using this is just so easy. It's very easy to use. It's very useful. It's a good way of using class time, and it's really easy to teach, and you can use it for any subject. You can use it for any curriculum, and you can whip this thing out on a Friday where you're not feeling so well. You can say, okay, we're going through this chapter, and then after that we're going to pair up and do these things, and I think the students are going to love it. And as long as you have an involved class, a class that you've taught well to work together, it's going to be engaging, and it's going to focus them, and it's going to be fun for them and you. And also, it's nice to not talk every once in a while and get to see your students' thoughts. It also lets them be imaginative and things like that. So all these reasons, I think this is a great strategy, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks.